Hello again, everybody. It's Dave here, and welcome back to Desert Sky Adventures. Today, Jennifer, Dixon, the Desert Sky dog, and myself are on our way out into the desert, searching for the oldest ruins, potentially, that we've ever seen on this channel before. Somewhere out in this desert behind me are the remains of a 250-year-old Spanish fort. So Jennifer, Dixon, and myself are going to head out there on the trail right now, see if we can find it. As always, you're invited to come along with us. Today's adventure begins about 10 miles out of Tombstone at the Presidio Santa Cruz de Terrenate trailhead, which is just off Highway 82 on Imbalance Road, about a mile down on the east-hand side. Presidio is the Spanish word for fort or fortress. The name Santa Cruz de Terrenate itself literally translates to Holy Cross of land the color of masa, with masa being a Spanish word for maize or corn. Presidio Santa Cruz de Terrenate was established on a bluff overlooking the San Pedro River by an Irish-born Spanish Army colonel, Hugo O'Connor, in 1775 for King Charles III of Spain. It constituted one link in a chain of presidios or forts that extended from Los Aldes, Louisiana in the east to Alta, California in the west. Like all frontier presidios in the Viceroyalty of New Spain, Santa Cruz de Terrenate was garrisoned by soldados de cuera, which roughly translates to leather jacket soldier, who served in the frontier garrisons of northern New Spain and the presidios from the late 16th to early 19th century. They were mounted and were an exclusive corps in the Spanish Empire. They took their name from the multi-layered deerskin cloak they wore as protection against Indian arrows. When New Spain's visitador, or inspector general, José de Galvez organized the Portola expedition, he was accompanied by a party of 25 soldiers who were at the time considered the finest horsemen in the world. The cuera, which gave them their name, was a leather jacket, like a coat with sleeves, proof against the Indian arrows except at very close range. They were armed with carbine long gun, a pair of pistols, bow, a dagger, a sword, and a lance. They also carried a bullhide shield or a small round metal shield for defense against weapons such as swords, spears, javelins, and arrows. But the Apache were on their own home turf, and they used a fighting style the Spanish were not prepared for. The failure of the Presidio was due to numerous problems, such as lack of crops, raids on the horse herds, surprise attacks on the mule trains carrying supplies, and recurrent attacks by Apache warriors, notably the First Battle of Terrenate. A Bureau of Land Management sign at the parking lot of the trailhead includes the following quote from the report to the king by the last commander of the fort. This gives a clear picture of the reasons for the short life of Presidio Santa Cruz de Terrenate. The terror instilled in the troops and settlers of the Presidio of Santa Cruz that had seen 2 captains and more than 80 men perish at the hands of the enemies in the open rolling ground at a short distance from the post, and the incessant attacks which they suffered from the numerous bands of Apache who do not permit cultivation of the crops, who surprised the mule trains carrying effects and supplies, who robbed the horse herds and put the troops in the situation of not being able to attend their own defense, making them useless for the defense of the province. In the end, the Apaches won, and the fort and settlement was left standing but empty in the desert. The order was given to abandon the fort in 1780, and we are on our way now to see what's left. Eventually, we made it to this old rail bed. The railroad was installed here sometime in the 1880s, and I spotted a railway tunnel I've never seen before, so I decided to go down and take a closer look. I was kind of hoping the trail would take us through the tunnel.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Looks like people have been going down there. This is prime rattlesnake territory. I'm keeping my head on a swivel and watching every step I take. If you come down here, I highly recommend you stay on the trail. And since I'd never seen this tunnel before, I just had to take a closer look and walk through it. Ah, cool. I'm going to go through it and then come out the other side.
I didn't know it at the time of filming, but in order to continue on to the Presidio, we had to actually go up and over this tunnel and walk along the rail bed. Keep that in mind if you decide to come see the Presidio for yourself. You will be traveling a distance on the actual rail bed. Based on what I've seen on the hiking websites, some hikers really don't like that.
All right, I'm coming back.
And again, right here, I'm being very, very careful to avoid any potential rattlesnakes that might be in these rocks. Thankfully, I didn't see any. This hike is really not very strenuous. There are a few inclines, but nothing I would call mountain climbing. Other than walking through the rail bed, it's a pretty easy hike. However, there is no shade at all from the time you start until the time you get back, so keep that in mind if you do come out here. According to our equipment, we traveled round trip about 3.3 miles. This being my first visit to the Presidio, I wasn't sure at the time of filming exactly what we were looking at here, other than some part of the adobe structure.
You smell the flowers over here?
Yeah.
Or whatever that is, it smells really good.
I think it's these guys? Yeah.
Huh. It's a good distance down to the bottom. I'm not going to get any closer to the edge of the cliff, but I know exactly where we are now. That is the same tower that we passed when we were riding our horses on the way out to contention in the contention video. And San Pedro right now completely dry, at least this part of it. Continue on.
Man, it's just hard to believe that we're standing on the same ground where 250 years ago, Spanish soldiers called this place home. According to the handy little sign on the side of the trail, what we're looking at was the ruins of the commandant's quarters. Designed with a central breezeway, the commandant's quarters were much more spacious than the soldiers' barracks. Although the commanders lived in comparative luxury, their rank did not render them invincible. 2 of the 4 commanders who were stationed here were killed in battle, in a span of 5 years. I'll be right there. What is this thing? Solar panel for whatever that is, some kind of radio transmitter maybe? Not sure. We saw something just like that when we were out near the cemetery in Cortland. But it was too high up the hill. We had to fly the drone up to even look at it. Looked very much like that. Looks like we've got a grave here. I'd not heard about this. Rio Presidio de Santa Cruz de Terrenate, 1776 to 1780. Muerto in Battaglia, or killed in action. July 7th, 1776. Captain Francisco Tovar and 29 other soldiers. September 24th, 1778. Captain Francisco Tres Palacios and 27 soldiers. And November 1778, February 1779, 39 other soldiers. May 1779, Captain Luis de Castillo. Placed here by the warrant officers of Fort Huachuca. Okay, so not a real grave, a memorial. But yeah, they kind of crazy to think these guys sailed all the way across the ocean just come over here and get destroyed by the Apaches, at least in this part of Arizona. What do you think, D-Dog? Here you can see the base of what would have been the fort's outer wall, which is supposed to be 12 feet high, but according to reports, it was only about 8 feet high when the fort was abandoned. This sign contains a map showing the different components of the fort. We're now roughly in the area where the giant front gate of the fort would have been. I'll give you a little picture here of what it looked like. According to this sign, there would have been structures in this area made of mud and sticks. They were temporary quarters for craftsmen, laborers, and their families. When the barracks were completed, these structures served as additional refuge for the settlers inside the Presidio. And over here in the corner of the Presidio would have been the bastion. This high corner structure was intended to protect two sides of the Presidio with cannons mounted on its upper story. Rooms in the lower story housed soldiers, armaments, and a powder magazine. The bastion was a remnant of European design that proved useless against the Apache warfare of New Spain's northern frontier. And lastly, we come to the remains of the chapel, which was the heart of spiritual and social life at Terrenate. This simple building featured a raised central altar between aisles of short seats. Given the hardships of the Presidio, the Franciscan priest must have shared more comfort and grief with his parishioners than celebrations.
All right, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our look today at the Presidio Santa Cruz de Terrenate. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us. Really interesting to see. These are definitely the oldest ruins we've ever seen on this channel at 250 years old. It's pretty incredible. But if you want to see our second oldest ruins we've ever filmed on this channel, go back and click on the video you see right here on your screen. So until next time, until the next video, we'll see you down the road.